What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junk Drummer TV. I've been gone for a little while. I actually took most of December off. That's because I had a 19-year-old returning from college, and she took my studio over, so she's gone back to college, and I'm back in the studio. Today's episode is the song that started it all for me. I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have played in all those bands. I wouldn't have done all of those hours of practice. I wouldn't have recorded all of those records. I wouldn't have played all of those fair to middling gigs to pretty good gigs to terrible gigs to a couple really awesome gigs if it wasn't for this song and this band. Of course, I am talking about the 1991 released Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana, Dave Grohl. If you are a fan of this channel, you know that I'm 45 years old. I am a Generation X. I am out there reminding you millennials and Zoomers that there was a better generation than you, and we'd already fixed all the shit you're trying to fix, but that's neither here nor there. Smells Like Teen Spirit. There's nothing more profound that I can add to it other than my experience with it than 1,000 other people have already said. This drum part is great because it's not just the notes he plays, it's how he plays the notes, and we'll talk about that when we get into the song. But before all that, if you'd like to help me out, please give me a like, a comment, and share. It's a small thing to ask for someone who's begging on YouTube. For some reason, I've pissed off the algorithm, and I'm trying to battle them. I also have signature drumsticks that I'm actually not playing because they're over there. Link in the description. I got Patreon. I got a merch table. Go check all that out. But let's listen to Dave Grohl, Kurt Cobain, Chris Novoselic, the band that changed the world in the 90s, and let's listen to him do Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's the drum fill. That's the drum fill that signaled things were a-changing in the music business and culture in general. If you're of a certain age, and if you are, please leave my channel. You may think that's the intro to a Kid Rock song. Don't ever watch any of my videos again. This drum fill, simple, to the point, but features one of the better aspects of Dave Grohl's playing, which is his flams, right? His flams are wide. If you're in marching band, if you're a rudimental drummer, you know our flams are a little more tighter, a little closer together, right? Oh, that last one was kind of Dave Grohl-ish. His flams were so wide open. It was almost that, right? But it's right. That's the drum fill that told all of us, turn your radios the fuck up. All it is going 1E, a 2E, a 3E, a 4, right? You're going 1E, a 2E, a 3E, a 4, and then playing that hi-hat on the and. Beautiful. It's there's a lot of beauty in the simplicity of that drum fill. There's really no way for me not to spurg out during this video. Warning. Okay, so that groove right there is one of the most widespread, wrongly played grooves in the history of all rock and roll. And I'll have to say that I saw Dave Grohl playing it a few years ago on YouTube, and he was doing what I'm about to talk about. That groove, you know. It's about that quarter note on the hi-hat. When you so many people play this wrong and go, and that's fine if you're playing a cover in a bar. Your girlfriend's not going to notice. But listen to the difference between the two. That quarter note makes the whole thing. Here's the eighth note. Right? and then playing at the quarter note. He actually goes, but that's a great example of when you're writing your own drum part in your band. It's so easy to get stuck in the eighth note, the eighth note tyranny. When you figure out what your pattern is between your bass drum and snare drum, one way to keep things spicy is to kind of run through, and I'm going to do a video about this later on, the 4 or 5 most common ride grooves in like rock and roll, right? Quarter notes, eighth notes, one-handed 16th notes, two-handed 16th notes, and upbeats. This groove is better when it's played with the quarter note. It's more hammering. It's just better. So when I started this video out, I talked about it's not so much about what he plays, it's how he plays it. Loud, soft, loud, or soft, loud, soft. If you are a drummer out there and you say, dynamics, I'm playing as loud as I possibly can, sometimes, but not all the time. Dave Grohl got many miles out of his dynamic shaping. Like if you listen, of course, you've heard this song, right? When you go listen to the dynamic of the intro into the verse, it just drops, the bottom drops out, right? So he goes from going to maybe not that soft, but you see what I'm saying? And then what we're about to see is a clinic in building anticipation in your drum part. Two-measure phrase opening up that hi-hat every beat 4, every second measure that just frames that as its own thing, even though it's still the same groove as just 1 and 2, 3 and 4. By putting that little and hi-hat opening that we all do, that we've all done and we'll probably do tomorrow, maybe tonight. Just by doing that, you've made that two-measure phrase mean more than if it was just the same measure over and over and over. Okay, because I played so much of that song in a row right there, I am definitely going to get copyright claimed. So again, I don't make any money from these videos. I do them because I think they should exist. But if you'd like to help me out, go back and check out my other videos. So anyway, enough with the capitalism. In the 90s, we didn't care about capitalism. It's not true. In the 90s, we cared about capitalism too. We just had better music to capital buy. This is what you're hearing, right? So that what I was talking about before, that verse is, say, piano. It's not really piano, but it's piano, right? If you don't know piano, it's dynamic. It's not just an instrument. And then there's a pre-chorus, right? And he opens up that hi-hat just ever slightly. And then this is all going to crescendo to hit really big when the chorus happens. He also does something in the bass drum that sets that up. Okay, and right there, we're building up to this explosion of the chorus, and then he starts adding, he's played 1 and 2, 3 and 4 this whole song in the verse anyway, and then he starts adding. Right? Oh, God, this song rules. And all of that builds to a chorus that hits so much harder than if he didn't do that. You could have played all these parts kept at the same volume, and it would have been a fine chorus, but that building up to a thing, building to the peak, the Allman Brothers call it hitting the note. That's what they've done here, and it's so simple. And I think it's one of the things that's lacking in music. If I was to make a criticism, an old man get off my lawn criticism, is that like all your songs are all the same volume. You don't make me listen harder. There's a tabla player from India, obviously, named Zakir Hussain or Zakir Hussain. I really hope I get that right. But he had this quote, and it was actually a quote that was on a poster in my percussion room in college. And it said, when you play softer, the crowd listens harder. And when that verse happens, you can almost feel like you want to listen a little bit closer to what he's saying, because they're not, as a band, screaming. They're going to in the chorus and give you the message of this song. But it's just, man, it's a trick that I've used my whole life. This record came out in 91, so I was a freshman or sophomore in college, and I've been using these tenets without really knowing it until I became a teacher and realized what the fuck it is I'm doing. It is that I'm doing. And I suggest you do it too. It will make your music, it will hit more effectively. You know, if you write a wonderful groove like the verse or the intro of this, you got to play it again, right? So the chorus is just that intro again. Okay, there's another example of always trying to find that second gear. The first part of that chorus is just on the hi-hat, just like you've heard. But the second part of the chorus, it goes up here. Elevating it even more. This song and so many more songs in this world would be made better if they took this approach, in my humble opinion. You mess with the listener's ear by varying the dynamic or the volume that you're playing at, and you could be more emotive. When you're playing low, you're just like you're whispering, and when you play big, it's like you're screaming, and that makes for a more dynamic song to listen to. So there's like the little 5-measure kind of like, when I teach this song, I call it like, what do I call it? Do I call it the other thing or the, I have a word for this, but this thing, it's like a post-chorus, right? Again, just perfectly crafted 5 measures, right? All right. Right? I'm not trying to play as loud because I'm trying not to overblow this mic, because this song makes me want to play loud and awesome. And then Dave Grohl and Nirvana go back and play those exact parts in those same exact ways for another verse and a chorus, for a guitar solo, for another chorus, and then like this secondary chorus that we're going to skip ahead to. So there's no reason to listen to the next parts because they're all those things repeated again. And I've talked on this channel about how like important it is to kind of find theme and variation, you know, that Neil Peart thing that he does. And there's a place for that. Sometimes there's a place for finding the perfect, simple part and playing it the exact same way every time. Because if you've made perfection, why would you try to make it more perfect? Because it can't be. So we're going to skip to the end of the song on the last part of the chorus, because that's the only other thing that's different from what we've already heard. So if you're going to notice, this is the last chorus, right? So we've played the chorus 3 times, right? And the chorus goes longer than the last time. It's as loud as the song has been. There might be extra guitars. I don't know. I can't hear that well. I can't hear those small details like a lot of those like studio magicians can. But you can just tell that everyone in the room is playing, and you can tell also that this is a band playing together in a room, capturing a vibe. This song would have never been the hit and game changer and world changer that it was if it was slow tracked and perfect. So listen to this. Man, I'm saying a lot of things absolutely today, aren't I? Yeah, okay. I've been listening to this band long enough that I think I can weigh in like that. But here's that chorus and that second part. Oh, let me go back to get the chorus before that. So that's that second part of the chorus, like he did the last one we talked about, going to the ride cymbal. Now, how do you make it more, right? How do you lift it up? You've already played the same exact groove from the hi-hat to the crash cymbal. How do you make it bigger? Well, you're going to have to play a different part. And that's how he ends this song, with one part that only exists at the end. And because he hasn't played it before, it really hits your ear, like you notice, like, shit, something very exciting is happening because I haven't heard it before. So, like, what is it? Not that. Right? So you don't hear that any other place in the song. So that part is able to elevate the song towards the end for the big finale because it's something new. Yeah. I saw the world premiere for this video on MTV, and this is a thing that I used to do. Let's talk generational differences, shall we? When I was a kid, if you wanted to hear a song again, you had to work for it. You had to listen to the radio and capture it on cassette tape or watch it on MTV or VH1, believe it or not, and CMT. Hell, CMT played music too. We had 3 music channels when I was growing up, and I saw... And if you wanted to see any of those videos again, you waited with a VCR tape, loaded, and you would record it. I don't know what the date was. I'm sure that would be very easy to look up. But I saw it, and it was a lightning bolt to my head and my soul and my hips all at once. And you've heard me talk about this say this on the channel before. Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight, made me want to play drums. Levon Helm made me want to try to be good, but like Nirvana and Dave Grohl made me want to be in a band. Like I hadn't even thought about doing that until I saw that video. I was like, fuck, I want to do that. Why would you want to do there's so many musicians my age that's going to probably say the same thing. You know, the Nirvana was the Beatles of our time. Were the Beatles of our time? Was the Beatles of our time? I'm from the South. I can get by with bad grammar. But Nirvana was as important to our generation as the Beatles were to their generation. And maybe Led Zeppelin to the generation after that. This song, this record, and the next record changed everything. Something we didn't talk about during the video and actually meant to is if you are aware of what drums sounded like before that record, I'm talking like specifically like radio pop, radio rock, and more specifically hair bands, hair rock, right? Poison, Motley Crue, all those bands. And I have some big problems with a lot of them, although Motley Crue and Tommy Lee's pretty sweet. The drums sounded very processed. You know, they were all taped down, gated, and put reverb. Someone never understood. Like, you wanted your drums to resonate, but you would take away the natural resonance of the drum in the room and then put, like, artificial resonance. Anyway, that record and this scene and that era really brought back good-sounding drums, in my opinion. They took off all of the... Now, don't get me wrong, these drums are smashed to shit, you know. I would guess that there's some 1176s somewhere on those microphones. But this Butch Vig, the producer of this song, he decided, and whoever else decided, that it was time to make drums sound like drums again, right? Because everything up before that was very processed and very unorganic sounding, and those drums sounded real. Like when you heard the drums from this record and so many other records from this era, and even like new metal afterwards, the drums sounded like they existed in a space. You could hear the room, you could hear the vibe of the drum. So I could make this video probably 75 minutes longer, but nobody got time for that. I'm back, and I'm not going anywhere. No matter how bad my channel's doing, I'm going to always make videos. I think I'm going to court the algorithm again. I think that she or he or they will decide they like me again. So I'm going to be here prepared when they do. Nirvana, Dave Grohl, Smells Like Teen Spirit, changed fashion, changed the way drums sounded, changed the way that records were recorded. And what else is better than that? So if y'all like that, thank you all. I'll see y'all next time.